Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kitty Hawks.
Great. Hi, everybody. Oh, look who's here. So, I am here to introduce Tom Finkelpearl, who is the new head of cultural affairs for New York. This is a city, very special city. There are others, but it's a magnet for artists, as it is for investors and developers, every kind of artist, musicians, dancers, painters, sculptors. They've always played an extraordinary role in the life of New York City and the quality of life in New York City. And ironically, the Municipal Art Society was founded as a result of the City Beautiful movement in order to beautify the city, and has worked with artists, since its inception to support them and to make sure that the contributions that they are capable of making get done. What we want to talk about today is the role that they play in the city in terms of connecting and enriching the communities and challenging us to think creatively about day-to-day life in a place that we all couldn't live anywhere else but. So with that, I bring you the commissioner. Please welcome Tom Finkelpearl.
So thanks a lot, everybody. I am so pleased to be here. I think this is an incredible summit. I wish I could be here for the whole thing, but amazing two first panels. And I think I'd like to just serve a slightly kind of a transitional role between the last panel and the next panel. And this whole question of being a victim of your own success, there's this kind of narrative that everybody seems to have adopted, which is that real estate developers are chasing the artists around the city, right? As soon as artists get to a neighborhood, the real estate developers kind of look at that neighborhood as a desirable neighborhood, and that creates change in the neighborhood, which is victimizing the artists. But I was talking to Joe Salvo at City Planning the other day. He came to our agency, and he was talking about the narrative of the Latino communities sort of moving from Williamsburg to Bushwick to Ridgewood, which is the trajectory of a lot of young artists these days. And I was thinking, it seemed almost as if the Latinos were being chased around Brooklyn and Queens by the artists who were being chased by the real estate developers. And so that's, I don't want to blame the artists. In no way am I here to blame artists for social problems, but there is this kind of bridge building question. The question is, are the arts always good for communities? Who are the arts good for? Are museums and cultural centers always bridges, or are those also organizations that enforce social boundaries? I think you can think about it that way as well. So, the question for this administration, which is dedicated to one New York, is to try to figure out what we can do that's sort of good for everybody simultaneously, and which means the artists and the Latino communities and the real estate community as well simultaneously. This is a very hard conundrum. But I'd like to also say that this idea of sort of art addressing social questions, I think, was brought up to another level with the recent MacArthur Fellowship for Rick Lowe of Project Row Houses. And if you guys haven't read about that or heard about him and what he's done in Houston, that is an example of a community-based organization doing real estate developing, building housing. It now comprises 54 buildings in the 3rd Ward of Houston, Texas. It's sort of a community-based artistic gesture in the form of an urban project. So in the spirit of that, we've been working to help bring Mark Stern of the Social Impact of the Arts Project from the University of Pennsylvania. He's going to come to New York and do a study of New York to understand the social value. This is a different argument that's been made traditionally by administrations. And by the way, I believe in the economic argument for the arts. I think that's been demonstrated. Having a vibrant arts sector in New York City brings tourists. That's good for jobs. It's good for the whole city. But Mark Stern and his team measure something else, which has to do with wellness of communities and how those communities can, and these are often not the Manhattan Upper East Side, Museum Mile, but other kinds of communities in cities can thrive socially on the basis of a vibrant arts sector. So, and I'll say just one more thing. I see I have 1 minute and 39 seconds left. See if I can explain this in 1 minute and 39 seconds. Have you guys heard about the municipal ID card that the city is offering? Okay, so that's a card. If you live in New York City and you can prove who you are and where you live, you can get a card. This is going to be particularly valuable for folks who are undocumented, because right now, if you're undocumented, you cannot visit your kid in school without being followed around by an employee. There are many city buildings you can't enter for social services. If you're hassled by a cop, you are arrested instead of having a summons issued. So that's great, and that's a municipal ID was part of the platform. It's something that this administration wanted to do. It's going to roll out in the next calendar year. We at Cultural Affairs said, well, this would be a great partnership because this card only works if many New Yorkers adopt the card or get the card. So to get you guys to get this card, the CIG, Cultural Institution Group, Natural History, the Met, Lincoln Center, Carnegie Hall, will offer a 1-year free membership to anybody who holds the ID card. This is a way that we've thought, this kind of has a value. It has a social value for undocumented folks. It has the value of opening the doors to more middle-class people for the CIG, and it has the value of getting new members. It's only a 1-year membership, by the way. They're going to try to get you to renew after the first year. And maybe a bunch of people in this audience who aren't currently members of Natural History will realize what an unbelievable place it is and renew their membership. So that's the kind of thing which we think puts together value for a lot of people in this room, a lot of undocumented folks, and that's a kind of a model, hopefully, of the kind of things we'll do at Cultural Affairs under this administration. And I have 0 seconds left. So with that, I'm happy to bring on the next panel, and thank you so much.